The human fleet moved silently through the dark expanse of space. Captain Daniel Price looked out of the command window, scanning the endless stars for signs of danger. His crew of humans worked quickly, monitoring systems, adjusting coordinates, and keeping the fleet steady. They had orders to explore uncharted galaxies and find new planets for human colonies. The crew had grown used to quiet missions, but this one felt different. A strange tension filled the air. Lieutenant Lisa Hayes noticed unusual energy readings on the radar. She called Captain Daniel over to the control console. "Something's coming," she said in a firm voice. Daniel studied the readings and saw dozens of fast-moving ships approaching. They were large, heavily armed, and clearly not human colony vessels. His heart raced, but he kept calm. "Prepare the fleet for combat," he ordered. "We will not go down without a fight." The ships of the enemy fleet formed a wall of metal and fire. Human pilots scrambled to their fighters, engines glowing bright against the black of space. Queen Elizabeth, leader of the human colonies in this sector, watched the approaching fleet from her command ship. She knew this attack was unexpected and dangerous, but she had faith in her people. "We will show them the strength of humanity," she said to her officers. "Our courage and skill will not fail us." As the enemy ships opened fire, explosions shook the human fleet. Some smaller ships were destroyed instantly, sending fire and debris into the void. Captain Daniel barked orders, moving his fighter through enemy fire. He destroyed one of the enemy craft with precise laser shots, then veered sharply to avoid another. In the chaos, engineer Sarah Blake worked tirelessly to repair the damaged shields of their main ship. Kyle Bennett, a soldier known for his bravery, ran through corridors to secure critical weapon systems. The humans moved with purpose, refusing to let fear take over. Queen Elizabeth activated the fleet's defensive maneuvers. Human fighters flew in coordinated patterns, taking advantage of their knowledge of human technology and instincts. The enemy expected easy targets, but humans were clever and unpredictable. They struck from unexpected angles, hitting weak points in the enemy formation. Captain Daniel led a small team on a risky mission. They would board one of the enemy ships to disable its weapons systems. The ship was massive and filled with guards, but they relied on human ingenuity and courage. Using grappling lines and stealth tactics, the team entered the enemy ship, moving quickly through dark corridors. They fought hand-to-hand when necessary, using strength and strategy to take down opponents. Ryan Cole, the ace pilot, helped by hacking security systems to open doors and disable alarms. Every move was precise and deliberate, showing that humans could match any opponent when they worked together. Back in the main fleet, explosions lit up the darkness of space. Humans held their ground, demonstrating their skill and courage. Queen Elizabeth's voice came over the comm, motivating every soldier, pilot, and engineer. Her words reminded them that humans had survived impossible odds before and they would do it again. As the first wave of enemy ships was repelled, the humans took a moment to breathe. They had lost some ships and friends, but they had proven that their determination could not be broken. Captain Daniel looked at his crew, pride in his eyes. "This is only the beginning," he said. "We will fight and we will survive. Humanity will never back down." The fleet prepared for the next stage of battle, ready to defend their people and their place in the galaxy. Humans were not just explorers or colonizers. They were warriors, and they would show that even against overwhelming odds, no one should ever underestimate them. Captain Daniel Price and his team regrouped after the first attack. The small strike team, including Ryan Cole, Sarah Blake, and Kyle Bennett, had managed to disable one enemy ship. They were tired but determined. The enemy fleet had retreated temporarily, giving the humans a chance to plan their counterattack. Queen Elizabeth gathered her top officers for a strategy meeting. General Jack Morris and Lieutenant Lisa Hayes stood by her side. The human fleet was outnumbered but not outsmarted. She emphasized the importance of speed, precision, and teamwork. "We will not wait for them to strike again," she said. "We'll take the fight to them. Humans do not run from danger. We attack and we win." Captain Daniel was assigned a daring mission. He would lead a small team to infiltrate the enemy flagship and destroy their main weapons control. Ryan Cole would pilot the shuttle, Sarah Blake would handle technical sabotage, and Kyle Bennett would fight any guards who resisted. They all knew the risk, but accepted it willingly. The shuttle approached the enemy ship, under the cover of human fighter squadrons. Lasers and explosions lit up space as human pilots distracted the enemy. Captain Daniel guided his team into the ship's interior. They moved quietly through corridors, avoiding patrols, until they reached the weapons control room. Inside, Sarah quickly worked on disabling the systems. Sparks flew as circuits burned out. Kyle held the door against approaching guards, fighting with skill and strength. Captain Daniel used his knowledge of human combat training to overcome any threat. Every move was precise, every strike calculated. Outside the ship, Queen Elizabeth directed the fleet. Human fighters flew in coordinated patterns, attacking the enemy from multiple directions. They exploited weaknesses in the enemy formations. Ryan Cole communicated with the main fleet, giving updates on the progress inside the flagship. Explosions rocked the enemy ship as the weapons system went offline. Human pilots seized the opportunity and launched a full assault. The enemy ship struggled to defend themselves without their main weapons. Humans displayed unmatched coordination and courage, turning the battle in their favor. Captain Daniel's team completed their mission successfully. They retreated to their shuttle as the enemy flagship faltered. Human fighters followed, covering their escape. Every member of the team felt a surge of pride. They had faced overwhelming odds and succeeded. Queen Elizabeth's voice came over the comm, praising their bravery. She reminded all humans that their strength came from unity, courage, and clever tactics. The humans had proven they could fight smarter and harder than anyone who underestimated them. As the battle continued, human engineers repaired damaged ships quickly. Soldiers worked tirelessly to secure areas and reload weapons. Pilots performed daring maneuvers, evading enemy fire and hitting critical targets. Humans moved as one, a force no enemy could easily defeat. At the end of the day, the human fleet had won a significant victory. Some ships were lost, but the enemy had suffered even greater damage. Captain Daniel and his team returned to the command ship, exhausted but alive. Queen Elizabeth met them personally, acknowledging their courage and skill. "Today, humans showed what they are capable of," she said. "This is only the beginning, and the galaxy will remember our strength." Humanity had proven once more that they were not just survivors. They were fighters, thinkers, and heroes. The fleet prepared for the next stage, knowing that even greater challenges lay ahead. The humans were ready, united by their courage and determination, and no force in the galaxy would underestimate them again. The humans celebrated their recent victories, but tension ran high. Captain Daniel Price knew the enemy would not give up easily. He reviewed battle reports and noticed unusual patterns in the enemy movements. Something did not feel right. Meanwhile, Queen Elizabeth continued to oversee the fleet. She relied on her officers, General Jack Morris and Lieutenant Lisa Hayes, to keep the ships ready for the next attack. Human morale was strong, but the possibility of betrayal hung in the air. Peter Bradley, a trusted human advisor, was seen acting suspiciously near the communications room, seemed nervous and secretive. Captain Daniel noticed and decided to keep an eye on him. He could not ignore the feeling that something was wrong. Suddenly, the enemy fleet struck again. Their attack was precise and deadly. Some human ships were destroyed, and the humans were caught off guard. Captain Daniel suspected inside help. He immediately ordered all security measures and monitored communications. Peter Bradley was caught trying to sabotage a critical weapons station. Queen Elizabeth confronted him in front of the officers. He tried to defend his actions, but the evidence was clear. He had been secretly helping the enemy. "Your betrayal has cost lives," Queen Elizabeth said. "Humans cannot afford weakness. We fight for survival and honor." Peter was removed from the command center, and human security tightened. Captain Daniel and his team continued their missions, aware that trust was now harder to come by. Despite the betrayal, humans did not lose courage. During this time, Captain Daniel discovered that the enemy was not alien, but rogue humans from a distant colony. This revelation changed everything. Humans could understand their enemy's tactics, strengths, and weaknesses. It gave them hope in a new strategy. With this knowledge, human forces planned coordinated attacks. Small teams infiltrated enemy ships, disabling key systems. Pilots used clever maneuvers to surprise the enemy. Soldiers defended ships with unmatched bravery. Engineers repaired damage quickly, keeping the fleet ready for combat. Ryan Cole and Sarah Blake worked on disrupting enemy communications. Kyle Bennett led boarding teams to take control of critical areas on enemy ships. Captain Daniel supervised the operations, making sure every move was effective. Humans proved that even with betrayal and unexpected attacks, they could adapt. Queen Elizabeth inspired her people, reminding them that unity and courage were their greatest weapons. Humans moved as one, striking where the enemy was weakest and retreating when necessary. Enemy morale began to falter as human attacks became more effective. The rogue humans did not expect such precise tactics and fierce determination. Humans fought with skill, courage, and intelligence, showing they were more than ordinary soldiers. Captain Daniel and his team returned to their ship after another successful mission. They had taken down enemy weapon systems and communication lines. Queen Elizabeth praised their efforts, emphasizing that human determination could overcome any obstacle. Humans have faced betrayal, danger, and overwhelming odds, she said, yet we remain strong. This is the strength of our people. We will continue to fight, and we will prevail. As the fleet prepared for the next confrontation, humans were more united than ever. They'd learned that courage, skill, and loyalty were as important as weapons. With their minds and hearts ready, the humans faced the galaxy with confidence. Knowing they could survive and win against any threat, the humans prepared for the decisive battle. Captain Daniel Price and his strike team readied their ships and weapons. Queen Elizabeth stood on the command deck watching the enemy fleet approach. She could see the determination in the faces of her officers. Human courage was unmatched. General Jack Morris coordinated the main fleet while Lieutenant Lisa Hayes led fighter squadrons. Every human was ready to fight, knowing this battle could decide the fate of their colony. The enemy was strong, but humans were smarter, faster, and fearless. Captain Daniel and his team boarded the enemy command ship using stealth and speed. Ryan Cole piloted the shuttle, weaving through enemy fire. Sarah Blake disabled security systems to keep the team hidden. Kyle Bennett prepared for any resistance, ready to fight anyone who stood in their way. Inside the enemy ship, the team moved quickly through corridors. They fought guards with skill, using strategy and strength. Every attack was precise. They destroyed key control systems, causing chaos among the enemy. The ship's weapons faltered, giving the human fleet an advantage. Outside, human pilots attacked with daring maneuvers. Lasers fired from all directions, striking weak points in enemy ships. Explosions rocked the enemy fleet. Humans did not panic. They worked together, each move calculated and effective. Queen Elizabeth led the fleet, giving commands and inspiring courage. Human ships advanced in formation, using superior strategy to outmaneuver the enemy. The enemy tried to regroup, but humans were relentless. They struck with precision, never giving the enemy a chance to recover. Captain Daniel's team completed their mission and signaled their success. The enemy flagship was disabled and their forces were thrown into disorder. Human pilots pressed the attack, taking down enemy ships one by one. Soldiers defended their positions, refusing to retreat. Ryan Cole performed risky but successful maneuvers, hitting critical targets and saving human ships from destruction. Sarah Blake repaired damaged systems quickly, keeping the fleet functional. Kyle Bennett led boarding teams to secure enemy ships, showing unmatched bravery. Queen Elizabeth's voice came over the comm, rallying every human soldier, pilot, and engineer. She reminded them that humans were not ordinary fighters. They were strong, clever, and united. Their determination and skill made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The enemy began to lose hope. Their ships were destroyed or captured, and their tactics failed against human intelligence and courage. Humans fought with strength, unity, and clever planning. Every victory inspired more courage, and humans refused to back down. Captain Daniel watched as the enemy fleet collapsed. He saw his crew working together, saving ships, fighting bravely, and supporting each other. Human determination had turned the battle. They had taken control and proved their superiority. As the final enemy ships fell, Queen Elizabeth addressed her fleet. She praised their courage, skill, and loyalty. Humans had faced overwhelming odds, betrayal, and danger, yet they had won. Their victory was not only in strength, but in strategy, unity, and bravery. Humans had secured their colony and demonstrated their power. Captain Daniel and his team returned to the command ship, exhausted but proud. The fleet prepared for the aftermath, ready to rebuild and defend. Humanity had proven it would fight, survive, and dominate any challenge in the galaxy. The battle was over. The enemy fleet lay in ruins, and the surviving rogue humans surrendered. Captain Daniel Price and his team surveyed the aftermath. Human ships had suffered damage, but their courage and skill had won the day. The humans had proven themselves the strongest force in the galaxy. Queen Elizabeth addressed the fleet from her command ship. Her voice was firm and proud. She praised every human soldier, pilot, and engineer for their bravery. She reminded them that their victory came from unity, courage, and clever tactics. Humans had survived impossible odds and emerged victorious. Captain Daniel and his strike team were hailed as heroes. Ryan Cole, Sarah Blake, and Kyle Bennett received recognition for their daring missions. They had risked everything to disable enemy weapons, protect their fleet, and turn the tide of battle. Their actions inspired every human in the galaxy. The fleet moved to secure the captured enemy ships. Humans worked together to repair and integrate the ships into their fleet. Engineers worked tirelessly, fixing systems, restoring engines, and ensuring every vessel was battle-ready. Soldiers guarded their positions, ready to defend against any further attacks. Queen Elizabeth met with her officers to plan the next steps. Humans had secured the galaxy for now, but threats could appear again. She emphasized the need for strong defenses, vigilance, and continued training. Humans had shown they could win battles, but they must remain prepared for anything. Captain Daniel reflected on the journey. They had faced overwhelming forces, betrayal, and deadly challenges. Yet humans had adapted, fought bravely, and achieved victory. He knew that humanity's greatest strength was not just weapons or technology, but courage, intelligence, and unity. Small groups of human fighters patrolled the galaxy, ensuring that rogue factions could not rise again. Human colonies strengthened their defenses and coordinated closely with the main fleet. Every human knew that survival and dominance depended on vigilance and cooperation. Queen Elizabeth's voice echoed through the fleet. She reminded everyone that humans were not ordinary beings, were fighters, thinkers, and leaders. The galaxy would remember their courage and determination. Humans had shown that no one should ever underestimate them. Captain Daniel and his team took a moment to rest. They were tired, but their hearts were filled with pride. They had fought for survival, for honor, and for humanity. The humans had faced the most dangerous threat in the galaxy and had emerged victorious. As the fleet moved through space, humans prepared for the future. They would continue exploring, defending, and fighting when necessary. Humanity had proven itself unstoppable, a species that would always rise to challenges and protect its people. The galaxy now knew that humans were the most dangerous and fearless species. Any who dared to challenge them would face unmatched courage, skill, and determination. The story of this battle would be remembered for generations. Humans had shown that even in the darkest times, bravery, unity, and clever strategy could overcome any threat. Captain Daniel, Queen Elizabeth, and every human who fought that day had secured humanity's place in the galaxy. They had proven that no force could break the spirit of humans. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Humans are not to be underestimated, and they will always fight to win.